What is going on, guys? The vs. All Gaming with my review of Akame Got Killed episode 13. And this episode right here, it was pretty freaking good. We got some pretty good story progression, and that ending right there, we have Tatsumi and Esdeath. They are finally reunited, and as usual, Esdeath was on her A game throughout the entire episode. It was just so freaking good, in my opinion. But the episode itself, we see now that at the beginning, Esdeath here, she was reporting to the emperor and and the prime minister, and so obviously the prime minister, he was still trying to find like a lover for Esdeath, even though she told him previously that like she already found someone. But apparently this guy right here, he knows that like Tatsumi had escaped, and so previously we knew that Esdeath, she did not want the prime minister, and so what did the emperor do? He actually tried to pass off the prime minister's son, and so right now nobody knows who the guy is or what he can do. But even though we didn't know he had a promising future, but I will say that his son, he will play a big role. So I will say keep an eye out on him, because that right there was like foreshadowing it. And so now after that, we have the prime minister and Esdeath. They were eating. Oh, and I also forgot that like Esdeath, when she did turn down the prime minister's son, she was just so set on seeing Tatsumi, and even though right now they were spread apart. Like she felt like their love was just so strong that she would see him again, and the emperor, he thought that her word was which is so freaking deep. But when the prime minister and Esdeath were eating, the prime minister, it kind of sounded like he is plotting for the emperor to go down, when he gets older, by like these women, because he was becoming, interested in love. But obviously right now, it's impossible for him because he is still a child. But in the future that can change. But their prime minister is just so freaking sketchy. I just want him to die because I do hate him. And like ever since his character, was like introduced, especially when we seen how he really is, I just hate this guy, and I cannot believe that he's still around. But apparently he had this new job for Esdeath, and it's because of the danger beast. Because we saw that when the episode first started, we were like in the forest in like this in this random cabin, and we had this husband and wife, and this guy here was like cleaning his gun, but he gave his wife a warning about to not go out alone because of these new danger beasts. And this guy was like polishing his gun because he knew that these beasts could strike any moment. But when they finally did, he was just so overwhelmed by them that we saw him getting eaten. And not only that, after the beast was like eating him, we saw his wife, like she was next, and that right there was just so messed up. But now the prime minister, he wanted Esdeath to go out there and deal with these beasts, because obviously they are causing a lot of trouble in the capital, or around it anyway, and so they like definitely have to be dealt with. And so I believe it was his like general commander. Apparently he wanted these beasts to like be killed, but the prime minister would like love to like capture one alive and study it. So what Esdeath plans to do, she will capture like 2 or 3 of them, but obviously she will kill the other ones. And so with that in mind now, she was like telling the prime minister to like send a reward to her people in the north, where she left them. And obviously that right there, goes to show you how well Esdeath take care of her people, because if you're on her side, you have it made. But if you're her enemy, then oh boy, you better watch out. And so now that like she had accepted this job, obviously, because she really couldn't turn it down. Like once she had accepted, we see that like these 2 soldiers, they were obviously weaklings, like fodder basically, but they were like trying to get to the capital as soon as possible. And we see now that even when they were like still light out, these beasts were like still attacked, because we saw their horse, it had stopped, and that right there, that right there had made the cabin they were like riding on, and made it turn some. And so they saw like the 3 beasts jumping right toward them. But we have a Bolus, Bolus, he came out of nowhere and saved them, and that right there was awesome. And not only that, we once again saw his very powerful, Imperial arm, and he pretty much, burned them alive. But because of that, we saw the other beasts that were there as well. They quickly ran away. So obviously, these beasts, they do have some intelligence. And so right now, when like Bolus was trying to calm down these men, they were like just so afraid of him because of the way that he looked. But when Cyril came, they had calmed down immediately. And so when Wade was like trying to comfort Bolus, like Bolus here was definitely not upset. He was just happy that they calmed down. And so now back at the capital, where the Jaegers are, we have Bolus here. He's bringing like some tea and like some kind of treat to where Wave and Chroma is. Oh, I also forgot about those beasts that like had ran away. They were actually frozen by Esdeath because she was there as well, and she froze them. And so those beasts right there, they will obviously be studied by the Prime Minister. But what was like weird about this part, it was Kurome, because we saw her now looking at those new danger beasts, and she actually wanted to eat them, and that right there was just so freaking weird. Because why in the world would those hideous things look appealing to her, to eat? So that right there, that right there was hilarious. But now back at like the Jaegers meeting room, I guess you could like call it that. We have Wave here. He was kind of unhappy because of the way that those people were like treating him. So obviously, like that really upset him, because Bolus is a good guy, but once again he had to remind Wave that he done some like pretty messed up things. Like he had once burned down a village because they were all they all had diseases, and then he also burned someone on this cross. Now I forgot what that was for. But we see now that like when after Bolus had told Wade after all things that he had done, Bolus here, he had pretty much accepted that like people being scared of him. That right there was like kind of like his payment for all those people that had hated him. And so after that, Wade was going to cover him again. But then we have his wife and child come in there, and those two look completely normal. But it turns out that the reason why they were there is because Bolus here had forgot his lunch. And so you would never think a character like this could interact with people in this way. But Bolus here is definitely a very, very unique character. That right there is definitely true. Especially, from the way he is and how he acts with his family. Especially, when he's fine with like people treating him this way because of his past as well. This guy is just very unique. And we see now that like out of all of the Jaeger members, the spotlight here, it is pretty much following him the most. Even though we have seen like putting them get some screen time, Bolus and Esdeath, those two right there are pretty much the most prominent members at this point in time. And so after that we go to Tatsumi and Susanoo, and both of them were like training, and Susanoo here, he is definitely a good teacher for Tatsumi, because he is helping him control his power more and more, which is like definitely good. And so eventually, like after those two were like done bonding, we have Akame as well coming in there, and now she was like coming to get them because they are now like changing bases, and they also have a job to do. And so because of that, because of that job, we see their new base. It's pretty much like their old one. It does look somewhat different, but the area that is in, that right there is like definitely the same. And even Tatsumi, have pointed that out. But now we have Lubbock, who was doing the job about putting this barrier all over the place, and we have Susanoo, who also, like quickly built this escape tunnel. And when he got the better compliment from Najenda, we have Lubbock getting, rather jealous of that, which was hilarious. So even though they now have a new base, they don't really have any time to like rest, because they have a job to do, because right now they have to go deal with this with the danger beast. And so we learn now that the danger beasts, they are really causing a lot of trouble. And even though the capital and the Jaegers are dealing with them, the numbers of the danger beasts, they're not decreasing at all. But the numbers of casualties, that right there is definitely increasing, which means that this right here had to be dealt with this right here had to be dealt with as soon as possible. And not only that, we also have a we also have like Chelsea once again. She was like she was trying to turn them down from this job because she was worried about this. But we have Tatsumi being all cool and pretty much saying that like even though they are assassins, they are on the people's side, so they pretty much cancel out on this, and they have to do something. And so when he was talking, we have Susano. He had noticed that like his fly was down, and that right there pretty much ruins Tatsumi, cool moment, because we had everybody, like laughing at him, but we have mine who was blushing, and Akame here, she had noticed, but she didn't say anything because she thought it was like some kind of a fashion statement. So that right there was like another hilarious scene. Like the comedy is definitely in this show, even though it does try to pass off like a very serious series. It does have that comedy that like will make you laugh. And so because of that, we have Najenda. She was like once again talking to Chelsea, and she was like saying sorry to her if this for here caused her trouble. But like the thing is though, Chelsea is more worried about that kindness that like Tatsumi has, because at some point it could cost him his life, which it might. You never know. Like we seen so many characters die that I would not be surprised if Tatsumi, like somehow died at the end of the series. That right there would not like shock me at all, to be honest with you. But like after that, we go to Siru. She was now battling the Danger Beast as well, and we saw like at one point she had brought out like one of her 10 arms. And so this one with like some like ball and spiky chain, and that right there, easily, defeated those danger beasts. But we also had the leader of them. He was like watching them well, and I'm surprised that like Siru, did not sense him, especially like the evil intent or murderous intent that this guy was like probably giving off. But we see now that like even though she did defeat them, she made Koro eat them, and that right there, what was a bit nasty. But then go back to Esdeath as well. She was like in the garden studying these flowers, and once again we have Run here, who I always say is like her assistant, and he pretty much gave her this report. And we see now that like these danger beasts, they were actually once human, and I'm pretty sure that right there, it was kind of obvious because you could tell from looks of them, they do look somewhat human. But the only way for them, the only way that they could become danger beasts, it was through an imperial arm. So obviously, like the guy behind us, who we've seen a few times already, he definitely has one. And so because of that, Esdeath here was like still thinking that Dr. Stylish could have been behind on this, because when it went to his lab, it was like pretty plain and empty, and so he might have had a secret one. But the biggest question is whoever is doing it, and let's say it was Dr. Stylish, like she wants to know if they broke out on their own or did like somebody free them, which is a pretty good question. But now we see that like when Run here had asked about those flowers, like the reason why she was watching them is because if you rub these plants in wounds, they will cause a lot of pain. So she was actually going to use this for like a new torture technique. But now we go back to Lubbock and Tatsumi, who are now patrolling the mountains for the danger beasts. And so while they're out on that, we have Lubbock telling Tatsumi his past. And so Lubbock here, this guy right here, he was a rich kid who could pretty much do everything and got what he wanted. And so when like Tatsumi had told him that, you see now that like Tatsumi had like an annoyed look on his face. But we also learned when he first met Najenda as well. And it was when she had first came there, and Lubbock had fell for it. It was like a love at first sight thing. And so because of that, not only did he join, not only did he join the army to be close to her, but he also left the army to join Night Raid, for her as well. And not only that, when he did leave the capital, he had made sure that like all records of him showed that like he was dead. So all this right here, he does for Najenda, but because he looks at like all these other girls and spy on them and do all the other perverted stuff, Tatsumi was saying that like he would like never be rewarded, and that right there might be true. but now they have split up because Tatsumi can obviously cover, a lot of higher ground, especially, with his own Imperial alarm, which we saw as he easily, jumped up this mountain to reach the top. But no matter, where he went, he could still not find any of those danger bees. But we have Esdeath, who was like in the area as well, and she has good eyes because she spotted his shadow, and when she had came down there, she was like ready to, to kill this guy or whoever it was. But when it turned to be Tatsumi, she had like the blush on her face, and obviously, right now she was happy. But I'm pretty sure Esdeath was like caught off guard for once because I'm pretty sure she never thought about seeing him again. But she was thinking about him obviously. But now we see that when they were together, these danger beasts come out. And we see now that they are, different from before, but they do look rather humanish, I guess you could say. And like Tatsumi, he was actually going to take the chance to escape while Esdeath was busy, but she had immediately defeated them, and that right there was insane. As some of them, or at least one of them, was still alive, he was like crawling toward her, and Esdeath looked so annoyed. She had like forced her heel into his head. And so right now, Tatsumi is stuck with her, and from the preview of the next episode, we see now that they will be together for a while. So that right there should be pretty good. But the episode itself, it was definitely good. I really enjoyed it a lot. I'm actually going to give it a 9 out of 10. I mean, no, an 8 out of 10. Yeah, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. But of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And as always, don't forget to like the video and subscribe because it really helps me out. And you guys take it easy. And I will see you all next time.